Hey everyone, this channel is independent and created by fans. We're working hard to recreate the beloved presence that has always been cherished in the astrological community. Now let's dive into something special. Greetings world, it's Sunday, the 1st of February 2026, a different setting than usual. And now for something entirely different. A century ago, a gentleman named Alfred Watkins was publishing his research. Born in Hereford on the Welsh-English border, he was a Hereford native who knew that landscape like his own reflection. One afternoon during his travels, he experienced a flash of insight when he suddenly perceived a succession of points across the terrain that seemed to form a perfectly straight line. This revelation inspired him to investigate his local landscape more deeply, and he uncovered numerous alignments that appeared geometrically straight. Many focused on sites of great antiquity, burial mounds, hill fortifications, stone circles, and standing stones. He documented these alignments in a volume called The Old Straight Track, where he introduced the term ley lines. This concept took hold. The Old Straight Track group emerged in the mid-1920s and rapidly expanded throughout the UK and internationally, examining alignments of straight paths across the landscape, pointing to some form of pre-civilization capacity for marking specific geometric patterns. World War II ended this organization, and since then, scientists, archaeologists, and their colleagues have dismissed Watkins' work. Yet I've remained fascinated with landscape geometry. My dissertation explored the crop circle phenomenon, for instance. One paper I authored for my degree investigated ley line phenomena in and around the city of Bath in the UK. Bath dates to Roman times. I conducted my investigation from an academic foundation, verified and examined by academics at that time. Through various books, magazines, and local folklore legends, I discovered references to 7 ley lines passing through Bath Centre. I decided to verify them. Remember, when conducting this investigation, the internet was nascent. Google Earth had just launched. So I utilized Google Earth alongside climbing church towers and standing atop hills in freezing rain with theodolites, powerful telescopes, and magnifying lenses to examine these lines for accuracy. 5 proved inaccurate, but one particularly was absolutely precisely straight. And it was peculiar, because it connected sites 5 locations over hills through valleys over hills again, spanning 2,000 years. It extended from the front entrance of Bath Abbey, which itself features remarkably impressive 1,000-year-old wooden carved doors, enormous as well. Then it ran parallel to one of Bath's oldest streets, where a row of very strong iron posts precisely follows the line, parallel to a church's exterior, up a hill, through an extremely old church, straight through the aisle, through the altar, out the north window, up onto a military installation, which was formerly a stone circle and is now a military training academy, passing through an ancient school dating back approximately 1,400 years, where there stands a spire on that school, a tower with a spire positioned precisely on that alignment. Then down a valley, up the opposite side, over a hill, down another valley to a church, the Church of the Magdalene, approximately 8 miles north of Bath, which has roots in Roman history at minimum. Numerous Roman coins and artifacts have been discovered in its grounds, and it's surrounded by groves of yew trees. So I identified 5 points in an absolutely straight line with variations somewhere between 6 to 10 feet, where none of these points are mutually visible. The remainder are obscured by hills, valleys, buildings. Buildings may not have existed originally, but the structures on this line range between 50 years old with the military establishment to 2,000 years old with the Magdalene Church. And I wondered, how can this alignment be so precise? I never received an answer. I had it verified. I used Google Earth. I used all the contemporary maps, and then I submitted it to the British Association of Cartographers, and they confirmed that my findings were accurate. And I thought 5 points in a straight line could be coincidence, but what are the probabilities? I then discovered another straight line, and it's not absolutely straight, but it is straight in extremely large sections. There's one of the 4 old royal roads of England, along with Watling Street and Ermine Street. The Fosse Way is the one I'm referencing, which runs from Ilminster in North Devon on England's south coast through Bath and then northeast all the way to Lincoln, a journey of approximately 300 miles, and there are sections of it which are absolutely straight. It cuts through field systems, hills. I walked it back in the 1980s, took me about 2 weeks. And this is 90% absolutely straight. And I thought, what is it with these straight lines across the landscape? There are countless others. For instance, the center of Stonehenge down through old Sarum Hill Fort, the old capital before it moved to Winchester around 700 AD, and then down to an ancient hill fort on Hampshire's southern coast bordering Dorset. And these alignments are everywhere. And then there are more recent developments, the work of John Michell and Robin Heath. John Michell is considered the father of modern sacred landscape geometry. Robin Heath is his equally accomplished colleague, and their work spanning the last 50 years. John Michell is no longer with us. Robin Heath continues, and their research, particularly around the 3-4-5 triangles on the British landscape. There exists a precise 3-4-5 triangle running from the centre of Edinburgh's Royal Mile down to Chelsea Barracks in London, and then across to the mound atop the hill, which is the old Cardiff Castle. The 3 capitals of England, Scotland, and Wales form a perfect 3-4-5 triangle. But even more remarkable is that if you draw a line due west from the Heelstone at Stonehenge and continue, you arrive at a mound on Lundy Island in the Bristol Channel north of Devon, south of South Wales. Lundy is approximately 1 mile wide and 6 miles long. Very few people inhabit it, and the mound in that island's center is precisely due west of Stonehenge's Heelstone. If you draw a line directly north from that mound, you cross the valley at Preseli in southwest Wales, where Stonehenge's bluestones were quarried. And then if you complete that square with a hypotenuse from Preseli Valley, the actual location where the bluestones were extracted to Stonehenge, you end up with a 5-12-13 triangle. And anyone who studies geometry knows that a 5-12-13 triangle, when halved, produces numerous different ratios along the lines of, though I'm uncertain about the precision, 1.618, 1.666. There's something quite magical about it. My recent work over the last couple of years, particularly with the live stream I conducted late last year around planetary sacred geometry, suggests to me that this phenomenon of precision isn't solely confined to Earth-based landscapes. It exists out there in the cosmos as well. Now, the thing about Earth-based landscape phenomena is that much of it is exactly precise. The solar system geometry is only accurate to 99.5% to 99.99%. But across the distances of solar system planets from each other, that's seriously impressive. So lots of facts, lots of figures, lots of lines across the landscape. What does it signify? I don't fully know. And one more fact, the center stone in the small circle in Avebury's middle, accurate to approximately 2 feet, is precisely 1/7 of the way from the equator. All of these measurements imply that our ancestors understood the geometry of Earth and the heavens long before recent developments over the last 5 centuries superimposed longitude and latitude on our planet's surface. And of course, historians, scientists, and archaeologists will say Stone Age humans weren't that sophisticated. They were just primitive. Mind you, they did construct the pyramids and the monuments in Peru. There's so much we don't comprehend. But what we do understand is that by working with visuals, you cultivate a sense of the arcane, of the esoteric within yourself. And you realize that there is far more to this existence on this planet than the superficial banality of what we see in newspapers, on television, and in the news. It suggests that there is not only order in the solar system and on our planet, but it is an order that is vibrant, alive, perhaps even conscious, that the landscape is working with us, drawing our attention to certain patterns which have ratios and geometric perfection far beyond the capacity of randomness. And that in these ratios, in this geometry, as encoded in architecture over many thousands of years, There are profound philosophical truths about the nature of humanity and our purpose on this planet. Remove the esoteric, remove the mystical language. When I visit these spots on the landscape, I feel imbued. I feel as if I am in exactly the right place. And I can sense the difference between the landscape at these power spots and at no other spots on the landscape. And of course, this is subjective, but the nature of the esoteric is subjective. It cannot be proven using left brain scientific rationality. So that provides an escape to all those people who say you're making it all up because they don't want to believe anything outside of their carefully crafted safe paradigm. Bringing this back to the present day, our world is transforming, but the landscape remains largely the same, and the points on the landscape that we term power points are still there. And I can only encourage you to visit those points, and they're everywhere on this planet, everywhere. I just know the ones in Britain. Visit the places of antiquity, go where our ancestors knew to interface between the land and the skies. Go to where the ancient monuments were or still are. Feel the immensity of the energy for yourselves. And if you wish, you can dance with it, build fires, call out, or just sit and gaze. We inhabit an alive planet. The older I get, the more of an animist I become. And take animism one step further to panpsychism. Everything possesses consciousness. Everything is alive in some shape or form. The landscape has a form of life and awareness and consciousness that we do not yet have the capacity to fully engage or interact with. But the more we venture out to it, the more we dance through it, the more we find awe, comfort, serenity in it, the more it becomes an active part of our life, the more integrated, assimilated, and holistic our relationship with ourselves and the planet we inhabit becomes, and thus the process of evolution, acceleration, and ascending to a higher dimension of consciousness develops. And what better thing to do with one's life? All right, Sunday message complete. Hope you've enjoyed this. I said it was something different. Catch you later, world. Bye.